In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. You'll see how this fun starts. We start off on Instagram, so go follow me there at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live, just like all these people are doing right now. If you missed me on the live, that's okay. You can watch it for up to 24 hours on replay on Instagram, so go follow me at Instagram. But if you don't like Instagram or if you missed the replay, we put all of the past episodes up on YouTube. So go type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search in YouTube and a Google search. You will find this show. And then finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast, which has the best of the best moments of this here show. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is inspired by all of the people that have ever written to me an email very, very upset by their doctor. So they go see their doctor. They're really happy about the changes that they've seen in their weight and in their health and how they feel, all of the things that have gotten better because they chose to go on a well-formulated, mostly real food-based, low-carb, moderate protein, high-fat, ketogenic diet. So you go in to see your doctor, you're all excited, you're like, oh my gosh, he's gonna think I'm a rock star, this is incredible. And then the doctor says, well, what are you doing? And you're like, hey, I'm doing that keto thing. It's awesome, isn't it? And he starts to scare you half to death. That's unacceptable to me, by the way. I do not like the fact that doctors who physically see patients getting better through any means, discouraging their patients from doing that thing that got them better, okay? So what I want to talk about here today is how do you talk to your doctor about keto when he's scaring you away from it? Because this is a real challenge, you guys. And maybe it comes down to how you handle the situation. Now, if you have a doctor that's a little more old guard, in other words, has been around the block or two, and he's just not going to have anything to do with that keto thing, I hate to tell you, but you may need to fire that guy, because he's probably not going to change at this point in his career, okay? Maybe you have someone who's not for keto, but is like, well, I'm really glad that you're getting results, so let's kind of monitor different things. And even that can be a little bit of a challenge because the things they're monitoring, things like LDL cholesterol, and total cholesterol and some other things may not necessarily be telling the whole story of what's going on in your health. So that's another one. So how do you talk to your doctor about keto? Well, I think the best thing you can do is not necessarily tell them explicitly that you're doing keto. Let them see the health markers change. Let them see all the improvements that happen because your blood sugar comes down. Your insulin comes down. Your inflammation levels come down. Your triglycerides come down. All of these really, really good things. Your A1C level comes down. All of these things happen in your health when you go keto. And if you don't tell them you're doing keto, and then they see all these improvements, then they'll be like, now what are you doing? Because they've already acknowledged that you've improved your health. And at that point is when you can say, well, you know, I've been reading a lot and researching a lot about this keto diet, and it's really seeming to work for me. What do you think about it? And so at that point, then you can have the conversation. But I think going in before you start keto and say, I'm going to go on the keto diet and it's going to change my life, that probably ain't going to go so well. So I say be a little stealth about it. Be a little ninja. And go keto and let them see the numbers changing. Because a lot of doctors that are worth their salt will see the improvements in the health and go, whoa, what are you doing? We've seen that happen with various people that have gotten into the ketogenic diet that are medical professionals, people like Eric Westman. Dr. Eric Westman, that's how he got into the low-carb ketogenic realm, was he had a couple of patients who had read Dr. Atkins' book, followed that diet, and they lost weight, and they saw their health improve as a result of it. And when Dr. Westman saw that, he went, whoa, I got to find out more about this thing. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about how you talk to your doctor about keto, especially when he's trying to scare you away from it. And the first thing we've talked about is trying to be a little more stealth about it. Now, if you have an open-minded doctor, just be honest and open with that person. Just say, you know what, I want to give this a go. I've done my research. I'm convinced it probably will work for me. And so therefore, I want to give it a go. Will you please watch my health markers? Most doctors that are, again, worth their salt would be more than happy to do that for you. But I do want to remind you of some things about doctors. So they're anti-keto, some of them are. And I don't want you to use this snarkily with a doctor. But the fact is, most doctors don't have much nutrition training at all. They're trained on pharmacological and physiological, but very little training when it comes to nutrition. So if a doctor's not trained in nutrition, they really can't give you a lot of advice when it comes to diet. Anything that they would be sharing would be out of some third-party knowledge that they have about diet. So keep that in mind when you talk to your doctor, that the doctor really doesn't know a whole lot when it comes to nutrition. And so that's a big thing. Again, I would never use that snarkily with your doctor. Well, you weren't really trained in nutrition. That won't go well either, so don't do that. And also keep in mind that doctors are very much about finding some symptom that you have and then giving you some drug to deal with that symptom. That's the way they've been trained. And so if you're doing a nutritional modality, a lifestyle modality like keto and maybe intermittent fasting and maybe doing various biohacks to your body to try to put your body in a better place, and you're seeing improvements, their brains can't comprehend that. They can't wrap their head around how you're able to lower an A1C level without drugs, how you're able to lower cholesterol levels without drugs, how you're able to do anything good in your health without some kind of a medicinal component involved. It's a foreign nature to them. It's why I think a lot of people are going to naturopaths, they're going to nutrition-minded chiropractors, they're going to functional medicine practitioners, even nutritional therapy practitioners, because all of these guys are looking for the root cause of what's going on in your diet and lifestyle to help make you healthier, okay? So if you are going to see your doctor and they're not supportive of your ketogenic lifestyle, you have to make a decision. Do I want to try to fight this doctor? Do I want to try to play the game with them a little bit to try to see if I can get them to work with me? Or do I need to fire them and find someone who will work with me? But keep this in mind as well, and I've talked about this before on Jimmy Rants, but it always bears repeating. Your doctor is not the final say in your health. You are. And so if you're the final say in your health, your doctor is merely a consultant in your health. So if he makes a recommendation that you need to go on a medication or you need to do this or do that, you say, thank you very much, appreciate your advisement there. And then you do what you decide to do. Your doctor can't make you go off of keto. Your doctor can try to scare you half to death of it, and a lot of them do, sadly, but he can't make you go off of keto. Now, again, don't push on the doctor too much because you'll be labeled a non-compliant patient and then they'll ding you on your thing and he could drop you. So it's better to drop him before he drops you if you're going to do that. So if you have this just contentious relationship with your medical professional, I think it's time to find a new one. And we definitely have a list of them, you guys, at ketogenicdocs.com if you want to find one, or a functional medicine practitioner. I know my Keto Talk co-host, Dr. Will Cole, sees a lot of our listeners on our podcast. He's a functional medicine practitioner, so drwillcole.com is his website. But don't put up with a medical professional who won't give you some kind of support when you go keto. If they refuse flat out to support you altogether, then there's really nothing more that you can do. And if they keep ragging on, oh, you need to cut back on your fat, you need to eat more healthy whole grains, you need to take a statin drug to lower your cholesterol, you need to be on insulin for your type 2 diabetes. If they keep pushing that and they're not hearing you, it's time to let them go. But I'm hopeful that the new generation of doctors that are coming along are a lot more open. They may not necessarily be rah-rah about keto, but they'll at least hear you out, follow your markers, give you good advice about, okay, this is what this means, you know, keep doing it. And I'm really happy to hear a lot of people getting encouragement from their mainstream doctors now, whereas in the past it's been a whole lot of discouragement. So I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about this topic. So welcome in, welcome in. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for being here. My doc is an ancient Irish doctor who goes with what works, says Wirehead. You've got a good doctor. That's awesome. What's up, Keto Road? Thanks for being here. Ashton says, my doctor is definitely old school. He's having a hard time with LDL levels and my total cholesterol, even though my A1C is 5.8, my HDL is raised, my triglycerides are well within range. It's so frustrating. So Ashton, it could be time to let that doctor go and find someone who will support you better. Bree says, my liver doctor wasn't happy that I was eating keto even though I lost weight. We'll see what he says when he sees my triglycerides more than cut in half. My A1C went from 7.2 to 5.5. I don't see how a doctor of any kind could ever see someone go from an A1C of 7.2 to an A1C of 5.5 and see that as a bad thing. Isn't it about results? Isn't it about seeing health improve? And yet, you use the K word and they lose their minds. It's really incredible to me. Hello, Steph. Thanks for being here, sweetie. Joette says, my health markers changed dramatically on carnivore. It blew my hematologist's mind. He did not want to hear how I did it, but I told him anyway. He said he's been hearing a lot about this lately. Yeah, Joette, they're hearing about it. I think there's a segment of the medical profession that's just got their proverbial fingers in their ear and they don't want to hear it. But there's other ones that are going, oh my gosh, who are all these wackadoodle people coming to me saying they're doing this keto thing? So they're listening. Joshua says he's having blood work done Friday. My doc is keto friendly. Well, Josh, tell him I said hello. Heather says, yes, we're entering into a nutrition and wellness care awakening. More people need to be the CEO of their healthcare team. Yep, you're the president, CEO, chief financial officer, all of those things, and all you have around you are consultants in your business of health. And when you look at it that way, you guys, it totally changes your mindset. Well, the doctor said, well, forget what the doctor said. If the doctor says something, he's giving you his opinion. It's not mandated that you do exactly that thing. Carol St. Laurent, hey, Carol, is being labeled a non-compliant patient, putting you in a bad spot with insurance. I think it can, Carol, which is why I say drop them before they drop you. Because, yeah, you get dinged on your record, and any future medical professional that would look at you would see that you were a non-compliant patient before. So it's better to just drop a doctor before you get dropped. Always remember, we are the customer, they are the provider. We pay. Exactly, Steph. My doctor didn't even wait for me to say anything. His office called, told me he called in a statin to the pharmacy. See, that, Ashton, that kind of crap is so sickening to me, because the assumption is that you need that. Nobody is a statin deficient. Nobody has a deficiency in a statin medication. What you have is healthy markers because of your keto. And if they don't understand that, and I wrote a whole book about that, 6 years ago, called Cholesterol Clarity. And these people still don't know what the HDL is going on with their numbers. They don't. That was the subtitle, by the way. I'm seeing more and more conventional docs encouraging lifestyle and nutrition intervention. Yeah, Heather, they have to at this point. I think the proverbial dam has burst, and they're realizing there's all these patients getting better doing nutritional and lifestyle changes. So they're getting on the bandwagon, finally. Alberto, it is incredible that reading only one book of nutrition will give you more knowledge about nutrition than your typical doctor has. Yeah, sadly. And you would think doctors would try to stay up to date. And a lot of people are under this facade that their doctor is knowledgeable on all things related to anything related to health, which includes nutrition. They're not. And that's not being ugly towards doctors. It's just their training does not talk about the nutritional or lifestyle components. They don't. So anything that they do learn, they're learning outside of their medical school training. We've talked about this before on Jimmy Rants. We need to change the way doctors are being trained so that they get more education on nutrition, more education on lifestyle types of things, and maybe a de-emphasis on looking at medications as the first option rather than the last resort. When I told my doctor what I was eating, she said it sounded reasonable. Karen, that's the way to do it too. Thank you for bringing that up. Rather than using keto, which may have a knee-jerk reaction, just say, oh yeah, I'm just eating real whole foods, mostly like green leafy vegetables and a little bit of steak and real butter, staying away from processed foods, staying away from processed oils and all the things that aren't good for me. What do you think? And most doctors, when you describe the diet without saying the K word, sometimes that's a selling point. Sometimes that will work with them. So good point, Karen. Thank you for sharing that. Kimberly says, my doctor is an osteopath. I have brought the keto way of eating to him. He's all on board. Yeah, a lot of DOs are osteopaths. My co-author on the Keto Cure, Dr. Adam Nally, is a DO. So yeah, a lot of DOs do understand this a little better than MDs do. Wirehead, it amazes me that there are MDs who resist the reality of keto. They are still practicing, yet some think they're finished learning. Very bad doctors. Yeah, it is unfortunate, those doctors who kind of fall into their old habits and they never continue to be educated. I don't care how old you are. As a medical professional, you should never stop learning. Keep your ear to the ground on the research. Keep your ear to the ground on what other practitioners are seeing happen in their patient population, and then apply those new lessons that you've learned. That's the way medical professionals should act. Even my NMD onco didn't want me to do intermittent fasting during my natural cancer treatment, so even alternative and functional practitioners can be behind. You have to be involved and always in charge. That's right. Beautiful binge eater, my blood work all came back in the normal, healthy range. My doctor told me if I didn't cut red meat, my triglycerides would go up. This is where you gently chide your doctor and you say, that's really, really interesting that red meat would raise my triglycerides, because everything that I've seen shows that the biggest driver of triglycerides is carbohydrate consumption. So I think in light of that, I'm gonna cut down on my carbohydrates. I'm gonna eat lots more healthy red meat, and I'm gonna see my triglycerides drop and get healthier as a result. It's sad doctors have to scare you like that. I hate that. Dana's Hope, I had a doctor in the ER tell me to stop keto because it was harming my gallbladder issues. Went back for a follow-up, saw a different doctor who told me keep going, gave reading and told me to intermittent fast. See, and how many people see one of the doctors like that first doctor you saw, and they scare the bejeebies out of them and say, well, if you're doing keto, you're gonna cause great damage to something in your body. Real whole foods does not damage your body. Please, somebody explain to me how eating real whole food ever, did I mention ever, hurts your body. It does not. And a doctor that would say that to a patient with a straight face, you need to get out of the medical profession. because you're an abomination to the patients that you're having to see. You're not helping them. You're causing more harm than good. Okay, mini Jimmy rant done. Terry says, my blood work came back excellent. My doctor said, oh, I see you've been following the Mediterranean diet that she recommended. I said, nah, I'm doing keto. That's great. That's really funny too, especially doctors too that prescribe you medications and they say, when you don't take the medication and you come back and you have better numbers, oh, I see that statin improved your numbers. And you go, I haven't been taking a statin. I've been doing keto. You blow their minds when you do that. And it happens a lot. My insurance company recommends eating whole grains and fruits. So I think my doctor's hands are tied as to what she could recommend. She doesn't have the balls to stand up to the insurance company. Well, sadly, insurance companies play a little monkey wrench role in all of this. If insurance companies got on the keto bandwagon, they would make so much money because keto people don't get sick. We don't get sick. And so if you don't get sick, you're not paying claims. Why don't insurance companies endorse and embrace the ketogenic lifestyle? Makes no sense to me. You get lots of people paying premiums and nobody getting sick. That's the recipe for making a lot of money as an insurance company. Downtown Vapors, my doc recently said he's seeing so many patients getting success with keto. Yeah. Joette, my brother-in-law, is an orthopedic doc. He told us about the minimal nutrition training that they got in school, but was quick to tell our mother-in-law, be sure to cut back on the fat. Doesn't make sense, does it? Kimberly says insurance companies don't want to cover true health. They want healthy people to cover premiums. That's why they should go keto. That's why they should be embracing keto. Keto people don't get sick. We don't. Grandma does keto. If all those things were true, wouldn't hamburger come with a warning label? Yeah, you would think. Alberto says, I hate when they use the word pre. You are pre-diabetic. Everyone's pre-dead, just not dead yet. Well, I think sometimes they're just looking for a code to put in. So the reason people are labeled pre-diabetic is the doc has a code for that, and he can bill insurance for pre-diabetes. But you're right. We all have a pre-something. Yeah. Terry says, when my A1C came back almost normal, my endocrinologist told me I didn't need to be so careful with my carbs. After all, I am a diabetic. That's sickening to me. All diabetes management these days has become is, how can we cover up the carbs that you are eating? Nobody's talking about, why don't we minimize the carbs so that you don't have to take the medications and the insulin to cover up the effects of those carbs. Nobody's talking about that. And yet a doc will poo-poo you doing ketogenic when you're doing something very proactive to control that diabetes without medication, without insulin, and yet that's somehow dangerous to you? That doesn't pass the smell test. Wirehead said, I've only had one cold in the last 14 months since starting keto. Yeah, I hardly ever get sick. And it's been probably only one time in the last year and a half for me that I've been sick. Mom's cardio said it'd make her AFib worse. Yeah, cardiologists, don't get me started on cardiologists. They're one of the worst. They definitely dig in their heels. Natasha loves keto. I went to my new doctor, nervous about what she would say about keto, not taking my diabetes meds. She didn't say anything bad about keto, said she was very happy to see me in 3 months and check my levels again. Natasha, you got a great doc. Keep that one. That's a keeper. I think some doctors get points for writing prescriptions, but that's a whole nother Jimmy rant. Yeah, Terry, I've talked about this whole idea of standard of care and how doctors, when you have certain numbers and say your cholesterol, where they have to prescribe you a medication, and if they don't do it, they get dinged by the board, by the medical board, and then if you say no, you get dinged, and it's a weird system. It's why I try to help you circumnavigate all this stuff here on Jimmy Rants, is it can get overwhelming and it can get confusing for a lot of patients. Keto has made my GERD come back. No, it hadn't. Keto doesn't make GERD come back. Keto controls GERD. If you have a general question about that, Melton Tillo, definitely email me, livinglowcarbman@charter.net. You can also write me a message through Instagram. I'd be happy to help find out a little more. Tell me about your diet and what you're doing. I'll certainly be happy to help you with that. Kimberly, doctors do get kickbacks from pharmaceutical companies. I've joked that if I went in with a briefcase full of bacon to a doctor's office and gave that out as my medication to prescribe to patients, I'd give them kickbacks for that. You can have more bacon. Yes, the snarky Jimmy is coming out today. Deborah says, I switched doctors last Easter. I haven't seen him yet. That's the power of keto. I'm never ill enough to see him. And that's the goal. I think you want to get to the point in your health management program so you don't have to see the doctor. I actually fired my doctor last year because he refused to run a fasting insulin for me because I wanted to keep an eye on that. So I fired him, and I've not had to go see a doctor since. And I haven't found a new doctor. Now, with what I do, I have access to a lot of medical doctors and a lot of functional medicine doctors, and I can run all my own blood work. So I'm in a little different situation than most people, but find a good doctor that you love that will not poo-poo on your ketogenic diet. So guys, the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is, how do you talk to a doctor who isn't necessarily on board with your keto? You be gentle. You be a little stealth about it. You try to find one that will support you as a patient rather than trying to discourage you in your choice to be keto. And if push comes to shove, you fire that doctor if they don't. Find someone who will care about you and then do what works for you. That's it for this Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, we start off on Instagram Live. So go follow me on Instagram at livinglowcarbman, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can access and go live like all these beautiful people did here, engaging in the content. So thank you guys for that today. You can also watch it up to 24 hours on replay at Instagram, but after that it disappears. But we do put every single episode of Jimmy Rants, 160 plus episodes and counting, over on YouTube. So go type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search. You will find the show. And then finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast, which has the best of the best moments of this here show over on Apple Podcasts. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. So until next time, we'll see you then.